I moved to Japan 4 years ago from the UK and I spoke no Japanese when I moved there. And to top it off, I moved to rural Japan where no one spoke English. So as anyone would in this situation, before I left, I watched a bunch of different YouTube videos so I know what to expect when I got there. Things like don't walk and eat at the same time because it's rude, use the proper suffixes. But when I did get there, it was so different compared to the UK. So here are some things that surprised me the most about moving to rural Japan. Number one, the silence. Even in big cities like Osaka and Tokyo, trains and public transport are going to be really quiet. But in the countryside, the trains are especially quiet. You can't even hear a conversation across the carriage. I remember one time I was on a local train in Kochi and another passenger on the train received a phone call. So he's answered it, whispered throughout the whole conversation, which was around 10 or 15 seconds long. And after he ended the call, he turned around and he apologized to everyone in the carriage. That was genuinely surprising when I saw it at first, but then I found out it's actually pretty normal. Now compare that to the UK where you're lucky if the only thing you're hearing on the train is a conversation. Usually it's some idiot blasting terrible music for the whole train to hear. But something that I didn't notice at first, but then it kept happening over and over again, is that as a foreigner, you can sit on any seat on the train at any time. It doesn't matter if it's completely dead or it's ram-packed busy at rush hour. The seats directly on your left and right are going to be empty. At first I thought it's me, maybe I'm doing something wrong, but then I found out it actually happens to all foreigners. Still don't know what the reason could be for this, but it happens. Number two, the celebrity treatment. So I lived in the countryside and there were barely any foreigners over there, and the ones that were generally white Caucasian. No one there was brown or looked like me. So when I would walk or do anything in that city, all I would get were constant stares. But the kids were the funniest because they would look at you with genuine shock and awe. It's like that meme of, where you take a kid to a supermarket and they see someone with a disability, so they're just staring at them for 10 minutes straight. The stares feel odd at first, but you get used to them eventually. Number three, the convenience stores are actually convenient. I remember when I first moved into my apartment in Japan, my employer helped me get settled in, and he was telling me when you receive a bill, you just take it to the convenience store and you pay it over there. So when I did get my first bill, I went into the convenience store, as he said, bill in hand, and for 10-15 minutes straight I was looking around for a machine to put the bill into to make the payment. So I had Google Translate open on my phone and I was just scanning everything I could see to try and find this machine. Eventually, after around 15 minutes, I gave up, walked up to the shopkeeper with my phone out on the translation asking where I could pay this bill, and it turned out you just hand the bill over to the shopkeeper, make payment, and they process it. But aside from bills, here are just some of the things you can do in a Japanese convenience store. You can buy fresh food, send and receive parcels, buy tickets for events and coaches. You can even do your banking over there. You can also photocopy, get hot food, eat in, and forward your luggage if you need to. It's kind of like a UK post office, corner shop, and takeaway all combined into one. Number four, the feeling of safety. When I first moved there, this is something that genuinely shocked me and you'd never see it in the UK. When I was going to work, on the way I'd see kids unaccompanied walking themselves to school. No adults with them, they just walk by themselves with their backpack on to school. And I don't mean kids as in just like 12-year-olds, I mean all the way from elementary school, just walking themselves to school. Another thing that I thought was a mistake at first, but then it kept happening, was people will just pull up to the convenience store, walk out their car and go do their shopping while the ignition's on and the car's still running. Eventually I started doing the same as well. I used to have a motorcycle and I just leave the keys in the ignition and go do my shopping. But you could never do that in the UK. You could leave your car unaccompanied for a grand total of 5 seconds before someone nicks it. Same with coffee shops. I'd see people leaving their laptops, phones, wallets all on the table unaccompanied while they're probably in the bathroom. 4 years later, these things don't really surprise me anymore. They've just become normal. But what I've found is rural Japan's completely different to the big cities like Osaka and Tokyo. And when YouTubers make videos about what to expect when you're moving to Japan, they're generally talking about moving to the bigger cities instead of the countryside. So if you've already visited Japan, I want to hear what shocked you the most. Leave a comment and let me know. And if you want to hear more stories about living in rural Japan, make sure you're subscribed.